Hey everyone, Ben Coomber Radio, episode... Don't know, doesn't matter. Right, we're across the pond and we're speaking to a man that's probably in one of the most famous cities in the world. I've never been, would love to go, hear great things. We actually have had a guest from New York City on the show about 2 months ago. Again, was an incredible, high-profile, amazing individual. And we've got that again today. The man or some of the people that he's connected to, you will probably know of. If you don't know this man, again, very many internet famous people. Mike Vacanti, hello.
How are you?
Mate, I'm awesome. Have I just pronounced your name right?
It was close. Vacanti.
So that was a no.
It was a no, but it was a common mistake.
Mate, you can tell me straight up. Like, if you need to call me a douche, it's fine. We can do that on this show. We're very honest.
All right. Not warranted yet, but good. I'm glad.
I usually do say something off air if I think, I'm going to struggle with that. I better check. Because the last thing I want to do is start the show with offending you.
Not in the least bit.
It's not a good start. Anyway, Mike, we need to give some background as to who you are. I know who you are. Other people might not do. Give the audience a flavour of what you're about.
I am a strength coach presently. I was an accountant by trade. I went to university at the University of Wisconsin. I got a master's degree in accounting, graduated, worked a corporate job for almost 2 years in accounting and hated every minute of it, and transitioned, I guess that was 6 years ago, to becoming a personal trainer slash, at the time, blogger is where most of my content was created. Basically into the fitness industry, and moved from my hometown of Minneapolis, Bloomington, Minnesota, to New York City for an internship with John Romanello, and yeah, have been doing largely the same thing since then, which is coaching clients in person, coaching clients online, and making content related to fitness as well as whatever random things are on my mind.
Mate, there's so many different directions I can take this podcast in, and that's why I'm excited to speak to you, because, like, just with your intro, I'm like, I want to talk about this, I want to talk about that, I want to talk about this. I was reading, you mentioned John Romanello, and I was reading a post you made about him on Instagram the other day, about just, like, giving him props to say, hey, dude, still love you, thanks for giving me the opportunity, you're like a brother to me, you've supported things. And do you know what I loved about that is where I am in the fitness industry, and we've actually talked about this recently on some shows, is that there's not enough love going around in the industry of, like, you know, whether you're attached to someone anymore or you work with them or, you know, you've moved away and you do your own thing. Everyone has been a part of someone's journey for a reason, whether it's to teach them something, to make them realise something. And it's almost like in the ego-driven place we are in the fitness industry, not enough people respect the journey and the people that help them. And it's like all forgotten because I am here right now. And I suppose I haven't really asked you a question there, but I think it's beautiful and we need more of that in the fitness industry.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I think you're definitely right that it's ego that prevents people from giving props or giving love or giving credit. And my ego tempts me there too. Like in many situations where it's like, well, no, I did this and I did this. And part of me wants to be responsible for all of whatever I've accomplished. When really, like you mentioned, Roman as a mentor to me played a massive, massive role in getting my start. Like we can go further back and talk about people I didn't know, like a Lyle McDonald and his website that I would read constantly throughout college, or even like a Martin Burkhan back in 2007, 2008, reading his forum posts. Like there's just so many people that helped me learn what I know now and kind of help me get to where I am. But yeah, it'd be nice if we all could consistently give each other props.
So let's come back to the journey in a little bit. I actually want to dive just into some meat and bones to give the audience that are salivating on their commute or drive or run or whatever. One of the recent things you did was an experiment with two poker players, which is cool as fuck for a start. But just talk briefly through what you did, because you took one guy who was mega fat and one guy that was mega skinny, and you matched their weight in the middle, which in theory means that one guy had to lose all the weight and the other guy had to put all the weight on again. I've never seen that experiment before, ever.
Yeah, yeah. So these two poker players reached out for me, Jamie and Matt Staples. They were offered a prop bet, which is a common thing in the poker world, from this poker player slash businessman billionaire Bill Perkins. They were given 50-1 odds to weigh the exact same amount, these two brothers, and they had a year's time to do it. So Jamie, 5'10", over 300 pounds. Matt, 5'7", 135 pounds. 1 year to weigh the exact same amount. Bill, really being just a cool, interesting guy, was incentivizing them to, Matt, you can add 25 pounds of muscle and a bit of fat and like make training a part of your life. And even more so, Jamie, like lose 100 plus pounds. Let's keep this weight off. Let's like change your life starting right now. And the brothers hit me up and they wanted coaching. And I said, absolutely. And so long story short, in a year, Jamie went from 305 down to 188, and Matt went from 135 up to 188, where they weighed in literally at 188.3 pounds on the nose, won the 150K, and now actually have a second bet to both get sub 10% body fat within a year's time. But yeah, so that has occupied a decent amount of my last 15, 16 months.
You must have been sweating something chronic in the build up to that weighing, just to get that on the nose. That's insane.
I mean, you can see it in the YouTube video. Like, I had a videographer with me for the weigh-in, and it was very stress relieving when they hit it on a number, because as you know, like a little bit of salt one way or the other, a little bit of water one way or the other, and it's like if they're 1.2 pounds off, they lose. And I felt like that was on me if that happened. But, we had a mock weigh-in the day before, ironed things out. We had a high quality scale, so we got the job done.
Tell you what I'm interested with that little story is your mission right now, because when I have kind of looked at your work for a while, one of the things that kind of catapulted you in some ways was working with Gary VaynerChuk. And Gary is a massive internet celebrity, very credible in the business world. A huge amount of people follow his content. You got his job, of his personal trainer, his personal coach. And after, I think you can correct me, it was about 2 years, you said, you know what, I need to go my own way. And most people would be like, banging you on the head, be like, what are you doing? You've got the perfect job, you travel, you're connected to some of the best people in the world, and you're leaving, like, what are you going to do? And I'm assuming it was almost no longer part of your mission. So what is the mission and what happened there?
It's a really good question. I don't know that I have the exact answer. I can tell you what I was thinking at the time.
Okay.
So it was from July 2014 to July 2016. We had a 2-year, handshake deal. You're going to coach me every single day in the gym. You're going to take care of all my meals, like everything food, health, workout related. You're my guy. You go on my business trips, you go on my family vacations, like you are there working me out and keeping me on track. And at times babysitting me, like, you're in the office, there's donuts there, we have a meeting, your presence is going to prevent me from going off track with this. And so we did that for 2 years. A little over halfway through, there was a conversation about extending another year, and I was hesitant about it because I felt like part of me thought I wanted to be like him, as weird as that sounds, and plant in a location and have employees and build a fitness business of some kind. And it was partly born in ego, and there was a little bit of arrogance, and I think I've proven myself wrong since, but basically that rather than being at his beck and call, having the excess hours would allow me to build something of my own.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't really play out. Like, from a business point of view, I'm just kind of plateaued since then, which I'm great with. But yeah, that was where my mind was with not extending another year, was like, this is amazing. I'm insanely grateful for the opportunity, for knowing him, for having him as a very good friend, and like his family's like family to me. And but at the time it was like I wanted more of the unknown, whatever that was, rather than continuing with what I did know, even though it was great. If that makes sense.
I'll tell you what I love about the first two stories that we've delved into. Initially, you spoke about poker, and poker is about taking chances and placing bets and going all in and stuff like that. And, you know, so much of your life is a massive element of, right, I don't really know what's going to happen, but I'm going to go all in. And the reason why I think this is a poignant conversation is we live in a world where we're following people with the perfect life, and so much is beautiful and pretty on Instagram, and we're having lunch down the beach, and we've got our abs out, and we're hanging out with amazing friends at the weekend, and it's just all so pretty and amazing. And some of the stories you share are very honest, and they're very raw, and they talk about the kind of opportunities. And I suppose, what part of your character or your upbringing or your mindset says to you, do you know what, I'm really comfortable right now. Things are actually really good. Got a roof over my head, got a good job, but it doesn't feel right. I need to move on. I need to move on to a place that's actually a little bit unknown, and I don't really know what's going to happen. What in your head gives you the strength of character to just keep going all in on the unknown?
I don't know. It feels like I've never even thought about it, because it feels so innate in me, which is, and it's not even seeking the unknown. It's moving away from the stagnant, or moving away from the same.
Okay.
Like a couple years ago, I rented a place. I was living in Manhattan. I rented a place for a few months in Chinatown as my apartment, that was like a real grungy studio bedroom that I was doing daily YouTube uploads at the time. I nicknamed it the Chinatown Grindhouse. Like the shower was in the kitchen, and the toilet didn't work, and it was small, and it was dark, and there was no heat. So in the winter it was freezing. Like, it was just a grind, because I wanted discomfort, because that discomfort was pushing me and motivating me and helping me in some way that I didn't know. And what it is that gives me the personality, or the attributes that lead to me seeking that, you know, probably a little bit DNA, probably a little bit the way I was parented, probably experiences that happened to me in my childhood that I haven't fully fleshed out. But it is definitely there.
So with you as an individual seeking out kind of growth on a personal, career, financial level, it seems you almost need to kind of like put yourself back into some kind of dungeon to force yourself to grow, because, you know, loads of us get very comfortable quickly as human beings. Like, we get a good job, we get a good salary, we get a home, we get a car, and no part of that, I am saying, is not the right thing to do. If that's the right thing to do for you, then awesome, do that. But as you said, as soon as you sit there and like emotionally you just feel stuck, stale, dry, not driven, perhaps you actually need to put yourself into a slightly extreme scenario to allow yourself to take that next level of growth.
Yeah, absolutely. And that can be done in very minor ways. Like, a few weeks ago, I just slept on my hardwood floor for no reason other than I was like, I really like my bed, and tonight I'm just going to sleep on the floor because it's harder and I want some of that. A year ago, maybe 13, 14 months ago, I started boxing just because my intuition was like, I was actually watching the movie Creed, and I was like, I've never been in a fight. Like, schoolyard kind of tussle, whatever, but not actually punches thrown fight in my entire life. It's like, I don't know what it's like to get hit in the face, and I'm 30 years old. I'm 31 now. So I started boxing and like experienced what that was like. Just that discomfort that my intuition pulled me towards, following that has been something that I don't know what exactly, if it's like helping me self-actualize or what it is, but it's something that I and people I've seen, clients of mine, friends, like moving towards that has had a net beneficial effect on their lives.
Okay. So I look back at some of the challenges and the things or the situations you put yourself in. You bought a one-way ticket to New York to try and get yourself, that job with Roman. You quit a job that many people would say a cushy. Like, what challenges are ahead? Is there something on your horizon that you're kind of getting yourself stuck into that you feel could be a bit of a career or an emotional personal challenge?
Yes, I don't know what it is.
Okay.
Like from a business side right now, I enjoy coaching clients and like I'm good with where that is. So that's comfortable. But yes, there's definitely something on the personal growth side. A fight, like a boxing fight, is definitely something that I've been chewing on more recently. Um, Doing something different with content, business, like that is something I've been kicking around, but there aren't specifics at the moment.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you what's interesting, and the reason why I'm trying to tie this into where we're currently, or I feel where we're currently at with social media and people's purpose and career, is that I think in life you're always going to kind of go up and down, and you're always going to readjust and just see where you're sitting. And kind of like you probably had quite a big high of working with a client like Gary. You kind of went off on your own. Maybe it took a direction you weren't quite sure on. Now you've probably said to yourself, do you know what? I'm just going to coach some clients. I'm going to kind of sit here. I'm quite happy with that. Everything's going well. I'm in a good place. And actually, it is totally cool to say, I'm cool with that. And actually, I'm really happy with that, because sometimes on the growth mindset spectrum, we're literally always trying to get that that same trajectory to say to ourselves, well, I'm going at this speed and I need to keep going. But at some point, that's probably going to make you immensely unhappy. And I'd probably say that's where we see a lot of mental health problems come into effect with kind of career and success and the mindset around that, because you look at actors that have got to the peak of their career, got millions of followers, and then they crash and burn because it's almost like, what's next?
Or not even or, but and the fact that a lot of that pressure to get to what's next isn't coming from in here, it's coming from out here. Oh, you're killing it, man. That feedback, the social media numbers going up, likes and follows going up. I see you doing big things, like that whole mentality. Whereas there are types of growth, like being on that growth track, that aren't necessarily noticed or praised by the public, that are also beneficial.
With your environment, because for me, social media is a massive part of our environment now. Like what you look on your phone is shaping your mindset.
Hugely.
How have your habits changed around your phone? I can imagine you've been through a little stint where you thought, do you know what? This kind of social media stuff's pissing me off a bit.
Yeah, definitely. And not even, it's not the social media that's pissing me off. It's my inability to always use it correctly that pisses me off. My lack of self-control. Like, I took Facebook off my phone years ago just because consuming content on Facebook made me feel worse afterwards. Where I am with social media right now is when I want to make a video or make an Instagram post or create something that like I feel like I want to do, I feel like that is the proper and an amazing use of social media. Where I get mad at myself is when I get in situations where I waste loads of time doing something that I don't want to be doing because I lack self-control, because the creators of these platforms are just so good at serving me up the kind of content that my reptile brain wants to see. And whether that means just scrolling in the Explore tab on Instagram or watching like 10-minute YouTube after 10-minute YouTube after 10-minute YouTube because their SEO just right, and they serve me up this next, like, Joe Rogan talks to so-and-so about this. It's like, well, there goes the next 12 minutes of my life. Like, but I get mad at myself because I feel like I should be able to not just fall into that trap and waste 2 hours from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. when on my to-do list, it's like, call my grandma and read 20 pages of this book that I really want to read and do something else. And it's like, what did I just do? I just literally like was controlled by my phone, or it felt like I was controlled by my phone for the last 2 hours. So, that's where my like love-hate with social media is right now, is over my lack of control consuming on the biggest platforms.
So are you saying that that's still a current problem for you? You feel it's something you're trying to work out?
Definitely. And I've done a lot of things. Like I've put I can open my phone. I've like put Snapchat, Instagram, the YouTube thing, another Twitter in a folder, and put that folder on like the 4th page of my phone so that I can't just mindlessly get there in one click, that it takes like 6 mindless clicks. And sometimes I catch myself like, what are you doing right now? You picked up your phone to text someone something, but now you're on, like, your thumb is just taking you to Instagram. Like, fighting that, it's just being self-aware and having control over your own ability to focus and do things. Because if you let that slide, like, you're just giving away everything.
Yeah. I think this is fascinating because I'm not in the same place I probably was a couple of months ago. I was getting really frustrated with social media. And it's as you say, like, we sit there and we want more control, but literally Facebook, etc., have invested millions in refining their platform to make it so addictive, like candy, that you will not leave it. And it's like, if they are doing that and we can't control us, like, is there any other option than to like almost not be on social media, or to literally set a timer that says 10 minutes and I'm gone?
I wish I had the answer. If you figure it out, let me know, because I'm working on it. But and I see, to bring Gary into the conversation, who has an 800-person social media digital marketing agency, and like wins on all platforms from a business perspective with his personal brand. The way he uses social media is intentional. Like, if I sit next to him and watch him, he is on the offense when on social media. If he wants to be replying to DMs, that's what he's doing. If he wants to be watching stories to see what people are up to, that's what he's doing. I feel like that kind of behavior is on one end of the spectrum. I would say I'm probably somewhere in the middle, with me controlling it versus it controlling me. And then I know there are people out there who are in an even worse place than I am, will just sink 4 or 5 hours into Facebook without even really realizing it or being aware that's what happened.
Yeah, because if you take the modern statistic that is most people are on it for 2 hours a day, that genuinely means there is your mum who's checking on it for 15 minutes to see what her grandkids are doing, to see if there's anything exciting. That means her hour and 45 minutes spare has gone to someone else, and there are literally people on it that are on for 4 or 5 hours a day. And you have to ask yourself, is that serving a purpose for you? Is it moving you forward? I suppose the reason I asked the question is, you and me work with people every day that are trying to lose weight, get fit, change their career, live a better life, all that stuff. And actually, this thing on our phone is driving a wedge in between the time that could be spent on action and enjoyment and purpose, rather than consumption of stuff that is probably not serving the greater purpose of what it is they're trying to achieve. Yeah,
absolutely. And to take things a step further, I'm not demonizing all consumption either, right? Like, I look at as the phone very similarly as I look at the conversation we're having right now, a conversation I have with the clerk at a gas station, or like my mom on the phone. Like, it's all music you listen to. It's all interaction. Podcast you're listening to. It's all information and people and energy and thoughts and ideas that you're letting in. And those can be good, and those can serve you, and those can educate you. Those can motivate you. Those can put you in the right mental place. Or it could be just like an angry debate on Twitter about some hot topic with people from opposite sides who don't have any interest in seeing eye to eye on the subject. And it's just um, not useful to what you're trying to accomplish. So there is better and worse consumption for sure. But yeah, I'm trying to figure it out and make it work for me rather than the other way around.
I think it's nice for people to listen to the fact that you and me are trying to work it out. We haven't got it figured out, because so many people, even from a health and fitness perspective, your clients will look at you and go, "Oh, he's got it all figured out. He's lean." He's like, "No, you're still figuring it out. You're still refining what you do. You're still thinking, perhaps I should train 3 days a week instead of 4, or do a bit more cardio or whatever." It's constantly moving.
Yeah, absolutely. Constantly trying to get better, because that's life. You've never arrived. Like, it's progress that call it happiness, call it meaning, call it whatever you're deriving that's positive. It's coming from getting better day by day, not from like, oh, I made X dollars, I made it, now I'm there, or I have this many followers, I made it, I'm here. It's like working at getting better day by day is where I find the joy in life.
A lot of what we've talked about today feels like it genuinely is wrapped up in these words that I see on your social media quite a lot, which is consistency over perfection.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
What do those words mean to you? Like, why did they become meaningful for you?
I think I said it in a random YouTube video a couple years ago. What first jumps to my mind is the common dietary / nutrition struggle that a client will have, which is they will be spot on with their calories, macronutrients, every rep of every set of their first few workouts. And then on day 4 of their program, it's their kid's birthday. They go out to eat instead of having their home cooked meal. They're not exactly sure how much protein is in what they ordered. On the drive home, they're stressed out about the fact that they just ate out, and then it's off the rails because I probably went over by 300 calories today, so I'm just going to have this box of cereal and pint of ice cream and etc. Whereas if you sit down with them and remove emotion from it and just speak logically, it's like, okay, if you were 300 or 500 calories over for the day, that's okay. Like, you're still making progress this week. You're still on your way. Get back on, do better tomorrow. That's consistency versus trying to be perfect and having this binary 1-0 all or nothing mindset of, oh, if I can't be spot on, I'm going to eat 7,000 calories today. It's like, no, going a few hundred calories over on your diet is okay and is normal and is going to happen over the course of a fat loss phase. Whereas going 5,000 calories over is going to set you back a little bit in terms of your progress.
Unfortunately, that's not a message that you can package up into a pill or a diet plan or anything like that. It takes a bit more work to deliver that message over time, right?
That's true. It's not as catchy. It doesn't sizzle and sell as well. But it just, when I've seen people wrap their head around that, whether it's in content creation, if it's in nutrition, if it's in working out, if they're training 4 days a week and for a couple weeks in a row they miss a workout for whatever reason, getting 3 days a week in compared to 4, it's almost the same compared to how big a downside there is in stopping training completely because you missed a workout.
Okay, I've kind of got sort of 2 questions before we look to wrap up the show. We've talked in a really nice way today about technology, social media, mindset, kind of what makes people tick and giving people the strength to kind of take the step that they might not take. If you were to give literally like 3 or 5 tips to people that would enable them to live their best life, from what is in your heart and soul right now when it comes to health and fitness and living a life of purpose, what would those kind of almost top tips be from a top level perspective for you?
That's a great question. the first thing that comes to mind is if you're confused or if you're lost or if you feel like you don't know what you should be doing, if you're anxious, if you're stressed, turn your focus onto others, listen to another person, try to help another person. Like getting out of your head and externalizing is really useful, I've found, in your own mental health and well-being. In that vein, not spending too much time alone is something that has helped me a lot. And, I live by myself in a studio apartment. I'm self-employed and don't have any full-time employees. So like, it's very easy for me to get in a groove of too much alone time. Mm-hmm. Whereas there are people on the other side of the coin who likely need more alone time. But, for the people who are spending a lot of time alone, and whether that's a teenager or a college kid playing a lot of video games, if it's a university student who just is kind of doing their own thing, like finding opportunities to interact with other human beings in person, like not online, not through a screen, that's super beneficial. A few just easy ones, like getting high quality sleep, blacking out your room, getting it an appropriately cool temperature, trying to get 7 to 9 hours per night, like that's just going to be massively beneficial over time. Blocking out light before sleep, like all the standard things you're supposed to do around sleep that if you're not familiar with, you probably have a podcast that you can link up on that stuff. Drinking water, having calories in the range for your goals, right? If you want to lose body fat, and you can work out your stats with a calorie counter, but you don't need to be exactly at 1,887 calories, but be between 1,800 and 2,000 most days. Eat some fruits and vegetables, eat some lean proteins, like eat mostly stuff that to be healthy without stressing out about whether it's keto or paleo or if fits a certain diet. And try to do things you like. And if you don't know exactly what that is, which is a situation I found myself in, just try different things. Those are a few top of mind for me right now.
I love that. The start and the end of that I particularly love, about knowing your character and what patterns you can fall into and having the strength to break that. And then, like I say this to young people, if you're not sure and you haven't figured it out yet, just try stuff. I remember being at university and I had 5 jobs at uni because I knew I wanted to be in the health and fitness game and I was already in it, but I didn't know how it was going to look. I didn't know if I wanted to work with pro athletes, which I was doing. I didn't know if I wanted to continue with personal training, which I was doing. So I just kept trying stuff and I was like, this is what I want to do.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And you wouldn't have got there without tasting however many different things to get there and to have something to compare it to.
Exactly. Dude, amazing. Thank you. Last question. I'm always interested when I talk to people across the pond, especially seeing as you're in the Big Apple. What do you think the future of health and fitness is? We've got tech at our fingertips. We've got more information on the internet with health and fitness that we know what to do with. What do you see coming?
It's a great question. I would just be guessing. Like, it's something I haven't thought about a ton. What I'm fascinated by is that all the information is there, and yet so many are still struggling. And so it seems to not be an information problem. Obesity, being overweight, or just not being able to achieve one's fitness goals, whatever those may be. So if it's not an information problem, like what exactly each person needs to get them where they want to be. And I don't know exactly what that is. I don't think it's going to be the same for every person, obviously, but I hope that the future is getting us to a place where everyone can be getting better. However, that's going to play out.
I think what you've intimated there is kind of my prediction for the next 3, 4, 5 years is that people will have to have this inflection point with social media and technology of they have to find their comfortable place of how it interacts and works with their lifestyle. It doesn't become all consuming. We can use it positively. secondary to that is in health and fitness is teaching the power of the mind. For ages in health and fitness, we've talked about like positive mindset, positive mental attitude, habit, all that kind of stuff. And that's great as part of the process, but how do people unlock themselves from the fear that they have surrounded themselves in? We've talked about you taking opportunities today. So many people will feel fearful of taking an opportunity because of what might happen. And it's right, like, how do we take away that fear for a long enough period of time for someone to just take that step to show them that something incredible is possible, and they can get enough momentum and see where their positive mental attitude can evolve to allow that to grow stronger. I think that's the future of fitness, is unlocking people's potential from a mindset perspective.
I love that.
But we'll see.
Time will tell.
That's probably why we're both massive fans of Jordan B Perterson.
Are you? Awesome. Awesome.
I assume you were. You have a photo with him on your Instagram.
I am. Yeah.
I love the way that he's challenging some of the world's sort of ideas and giving people the opportunity to think about their future as people. I think that's really, really, really cool. So, yeah.
Absolutely. We're a little frozen here on video, but it sounds like audio is still good. His biblical lecture series, which I listened to, it's probably been a year. No, not a year. 6 or 8 months back, was unbelievable. And he approaches his analysis of the scripture as a psychologist and from a psychological point of view, and pulls in a lot of mythology, like just the way he integrates that with what's going on in our day-to-day lives and kind of with a self-improvement spin. I really took a lot from and enjoyed. But yeah, he's the man.
Nice. Legend. Mike, right, if people want to find out a little bit more about you after today, where do they find you?
Probably YouTube, if you type my name in, is the best place. Otherwise, my blog, ontheregimen.com. I have a lot of information and posts published there. Otherwise, mike@ontheregimen.com is my email. So, yeah,
nice.
The internet.
Christ, throwing out the email, that is an offer. I would personally recommend YouTube, and I like your Instagram, if I'm honest. I like your Instagram.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
That's my place of following you.
Yeah, likewise.
I'm like you. I can't really do the YouTube thing that much because time just evaporates. It's kind of like all or nothing.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
It is. I'm all or nothing on there for sure.
Right, people. Take a moment to say thank you to Mike. I know you're all giving high fives in your car. He can't hear you, but I know you're giving it to him. If you've enjoyed this show, just do us the massive favour, give it a retweet, hit like on Facebook, say something. If you're new to this show, you've never heard it before, and you liked what you heard, please just drop on over to iTunes and leave a little review. It will take you 30 seconds. It helps other people find this show and help them change their lives. That is the aim of this show. Mike, thank you once more. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me. This was great.
Awesome. And for all of you people listening, I will see you next week with another incredible guest. If you listen to the 10-minute micro show on Monday, I will see you there. Otherwise, go away. Enjoy your day and be just a little bit more awesome. Goodbye.